Good morning, everyone, and on behalf of all the amazing children and young people that you're going to hear from today and that helped us organise today, on the brilliant wellbeing and protection and sport team at Children First and all of the team, welcome to our conversation about children's human rights in sport today. Truly delighted to welcome you to the conference today, and we want to thank you for coming along, for prioritising this in your busy work lives and your weeks, to begin what we think is a massively important conversation about children's human rights in general, and specifically within the context of their participation in sport. You've got an excellent day ahead of you, once I've stopped talking, that is, and with a brilliant opportunity to hear from amazing children and young people about their own experiences in sport, about what matters to them, as well as some adult experts and campaigners across children's rights in sport. I know that I'm really looking forward to listening and learning and to leaving the day inspired with some clear actions for Children First to take so that we can continue to play our part in making rights real as children participate in and enjoy all aspects that sport has to offer. If I may, though, I just want to start by sharing a bit about Children First and why we believe this is such an important and essential conversation to be having today. Children First are driven by our core purpose to ensure that all children in Scotland are safe, loved and well within their families and communities. In our core purpose as a charity, we take inspiration from the preamble of the UNCRC, which also makes this very clear. It states that every child has the right to be safe at home with their family and grow up surrounded by happiness, love and understanding. This most essential right is at the starting point for all that we do at Children First. Not only does this guide us in what we do, but also what we do not. Not only from supporting children and families to stay together safely in our services across Scotland, to being alongside children and young people as we and they campaign for changes to legislation, policy and practice to make sure that children and families get all the help and support that they need to fulfil that right to stay together. We are committed to doing all we can to make sure that children's human rights are respected, protected and fulfilled. And of course, our work to truly embed a rights-based approach is and always will be ongoing. We don't always get it right. There is no finish line to cross or medal to be won. It's important, I think, to note that it's not just about saying that we think children's human rights are important and that we take a rights-based approach, but rather it's recognising honestly that it's about striving to make the best possible impact in the lives of the children and families we support. And when we underpin that aspiration with a culture of constantly asking ourselves how, where, what does that look and feel like for the children and young people we support, that we begin to really make that aspiration a reality. So we've learned that the most important aspect has been to start with truly listening to children and young people, to hear those voices and to respect the wisdom, the clarity and the sense of what is right that children can offer us. Children and young people know when their human rights are respected and they know what it feels like when they are not. We've also learned that when we really do this well, we become a more successful, impactful and effective organisation. When we make our decisions in the best interests of the children we support, based on listening to what children tell us, we found that we make much better decisions. We become a better charity. When our campaigns are led by the children and young people we work alongside, we've achieved goals and ambitions that at times have seemed beyond us. The UNCRC gives us a beautiful and very clear blueprint of what children's human rights are. And Juliet and Nick, both brilliant in their experience and technical knowledge of the CRC, will, I am sure, give illustrations of the articles and how they can be fulfilled in practice, and will also describe how after many, many years of hard campaigning, it was actually children and young people themselves that led to the convention becoming enshrined in Scots law this year. But for incorporation to be successful, we mustn't see it as yet another complex burden or set of rules to be implemented, but a wonderful creative opportunity to do and be better. because it's really about creating a culture of understanding, care and success based on fundamental principles that recognise what children are entitled to be safe, to be heard, to participate whatever their background and skill level, to be included in decisions about their lives and to have a say in all aspects of their sporting lives. And we're very proud, really proud of our partnership with Sports Scotland and the many sports governing bodies we work alongside to make sure that children are safe from harm and have their well-being protected as they participate in sport. I'm very, very proud of our Child Protection and Wellbeing in Sport team, so brilliantly led by David Black, who you'll hear from later. It's a partnership that we celebrate and the success that it's achieved over many years. Because sport, as all of us know, and many of us in this room will have experienced, is most often a positive, protective and fulfilling force for good in the lives of children and young people. From children with exceptional talent and skill, nurtured and supported to achieve great accolades and who grow to become the elite athletes we all look up to most children, like us or our own children, who may never reach the heights of competitive success, but for whom involvement in sport becomes a lifelong love and is integral to well-being. For children for whom involvement in sport is a place of safety, a route out of poverty, a place to be inspired and nurtured by kind, encouraging adult role models. I'm reflecting personally on my recent ski holiday, where the joy experience far outweighed any actual skill or finesse and technique. But I'm also remembering how, as a child in what might be termed a disadvantaged community, my involvement in school and accessible community sports clubs allowed for horizons to be broadened, for confidence to grow through inclusion, teamwork, travel, competition, and many other aspects of my involvement. So many of us, I'm sure, in this room this morning will reflect on the transformational impact of involvement in sport at a personal level. Participation in sport supports children to grow and thrive, to develop talent and achieve, to make friends and find a sense of safety and belonging, to build confidence and pride, learn new skills, take risks, perhaps even bask in the glory of winning and making themselves and those around them proud. And sadly, as we know through so many tragic and painful stories, alongside these positives, and in every area of, as in every area of society, we can also find risk and harm in sport. But over the years, our collective willingness to face up to the potential risks have led to great improvements in practice. Through courageous and open conversations about how we ensure safety for children, we've made great progress in reducing risk and increasing safety and well-being, with much to do, more to do, of course. The most important part of this has been the willingness to face the challenge, to see and hear children, and indeed adults, who've been harmed or are not safe, to move from denial to acceptance of the pain caused to confront abusive behaviour and hold ourselves accountable and responsible, making sure participation in sport is safe, to be open to recognising that there are risks as well as benefits, and to be steadfast in working to put in place frameworks, standards, training and mechanisms to enforce that safety. We've done that with much success. So today is really about furthering and extending that conversation, that courageous conversation, to begin to develop our understanding about what respecting, protecting and fulfilling children's human rights to be safe from abuse and exploitation and to be heard looks like in practice in every sports club, competition and training space in the country. To have the courage to recognise and confront when the human rights of children are breached, undermined or swept aside. To be honest about whose needs, aspirations and ambitions are being met. To create a culture which is open to the conversation with children, with coaches, with families, with clubs and governing bodies about what it actually means to be rights-based in our approaches. To stop, think and ask and really listen to what it is that children want and have a right to expect. We must take this journey together where we recognise that at all levels, our individual and collective success in sports will be furthered by the implementation of a rights-based approach, not hampered or hindered by it. In the same way as happens with protection and wellbeing in sport, there are supports, frameworks and guidance that can also help with thinking about rights respecting participation. So today is really about starting that conversation. And there will be, I'm sure, many specific opportunities to learn more as the conversation and learning develops and continues. And we want to be right alongside you all as we do that. The UNCRC coming into law in Scotland is the culmination of over 10 years of campaigning by children, young people, civil society, and represents the increasing support for children's rights across the Scottish Parliament, Scottish Government and public services. It builds on decades of developments that have been furthering children's rights in legislation and policy. And now it's finally on the horizon, coming into force in July this year. It's time to really put it into practice. It's essential that sport is engaged in this and important that we ensure that we support each other to have conversations like this about how we make sure that sport, a massive and essential part of children's lives, is right at the heart of the children's rights movement. We recognise that realising children's rights in sports, just like in many other places and spaces, might feel challenging, may involve time and resource, and that this is the start of an ongoing conversation in which we can help each other make human rights real. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the day. I look forward to joining in many more conversations, and I'm excited to hear where we end up as we continue this vital discussion. Thank you very much.